Ed Walker and Bruce Allen on Talk Radio WR. Ed Walker and Bruce Allen on
I was out on the West Coast trying to make a buck, and things didn't work out. I was down on my luck. Got tired of roaming and bumming around, so I started thumbing back east towards my hometown. Made a lot of miles the first 2 days, and I figured I'd be home in a week if my luck held out this way. But the third night, I got stranded way out of town. At a cold, lonely crossroads, rain was pouring down. I was hungry and freezing, and then caught a chill when the lights of a big semi topped the hill. Lord, I was sure glad to hear them air brakes come on, and I climbed in that cab where I knew it'd be warm. At the wheel sat a big man. He weighed about 210. He stuck out his hand and said with a grin, "Big Joe's the name." And I told him mine. He said the name of my rig is Phantom 309. I asked him why he called his rig such a name. He said, "Son, this old Mac hadn't put 'em all to shame. There ain't a driver or a rig a running any line that's seen nothing but tail lights from Phantom 309. Well, we rode and talked the better part of the night when the lights of a truck stop came in sight. He said, "I'm sorry, son, this is as far as you go, 'cause I gotta make a turn just on up the road." Well, he tossed me a dime and he pulled her in low. He said, "Have yourself a hot cup on old Big Joe." When Joe and his rig roared out in the night, in nothing flat, he was clean out of sight. Well, I went inside and ordered me a cup, told the waiter Big Joe was sitting me up. Oh, you could have heard a pin drop. It got deathly quiet, and the waiter's face turned kind of white. "Well, did I say something wrong?" I said with a halfway grin. He said, "No, this happens every now and then. Every driver in here knows Big Joe. But son, let me tell you what happened about 10 years ago. At the crossroads tonight, where you flagged him down, there was a busload of kids coming from town. They were right in the middle when Big Joe topped the hill. It could have been slaughter, but he turned his wheels. Well, Joe lost control and went to a skid and gave his life to save that bunch of kids. And there at that crossroads was the end of the line for Big Joe and Phantom 309. But every now and then some hiker will come by and, like you, Big Joe, give him a ride. Here, have another cup and forget about the dime. Keep it as a souvenir from Big Joe and Phantom 309.
Ed Walker and Bruce Allen on Talk Radio WRC.
We have news and traffic reports. We're never more than 3 minutes away from time and weather, and we know what's going on in the world.
And if there is something going on, whether it's local or global, we make sure to get the people behind the news.
And we talk to our listeners, too.
But we never let any of that stand in the way of having a good time.
That's right, even though we disagree about a lot of things,
No,
and we
we
argue
don't.
about them on the
I don't
air.
think
Sure
we do.
Oh,
I would
listen, I
know.
argue with all the time.
Look,
Advice, information, and great conversation on Talk Radio 980 AM WRC.
Shopping for the finest furniture? Looking for the lowest prices in town? Look no further. Come today to Salem Furniture's Memorial Day sale and save 35 to 50% at all 7 locations, including their newest in Sterling. Salem saves you even more 40 to 60% on hundreds of floor sample groupings and items. Every piece of furniture tagged floor sample must go. It's first come, first served, so hurry in for best selection. At all Salem Furniture 7 locations, including Sterling, Virginia.
Hi, this is Flash Bob. If you like music, mime, and covers, you'll love my summer reading game. Sign up today at your nearest Fairfax County Public Library.
Isn't there anyone out there who could make a chair that fits my body and my pocketbook?
There sure is. Contour. I'm Art Linkletter, and I want you to call me so I can mail you this free discount certificate. Good for 40% off any Granada model contour chair. Granada chairs are custom built to fit your body's individual linear measurements, adjust electrically, feature built-in heat and massage, and come in your choice of 17 beautiful colors of genuine Verona leather. This 40% off sale on Granada is limited.
So if you want to save money, do what I did. Call Mr. Linkletter to get your free 40% off discount certificate and full details by mail about Granada right away.
Call 1-800-228-5111. That's 1-800-228-5111 toll free. Call 1-800-228-5111.
This is it, the final hours. It's our largest sale of the year. We're down to 700 vehicles, and they're going fast. If you've been looking for a new car or a new truck, we've got the sale of the year for you at Crystal Ford. But you've got less than 72 hours to claim yours. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So get on over while the selection is hot. Cause Monday at 9 p.m. you'll cry if you haven't come by. If you want a great price, selection, service, and complete satisfaction, come to Crystal Ford.
Do you have enough closet space? Jam closets mean wrinkled shirts, crumpled dresses. Introducing Closet Savers, the miracle space saver that can double your closet space with a flick of a wrist. It's so easy. Just hook Closet Saver on any closet rod. Hook on the garments up to 5 articles, then release the large end hook. Presto! You've doubled your closet space, and your clothing stays neat, pressed, and wrinkle-free. And look, the large hook is perfect for handbags, belts, and ties, or another garment for 6 articles in all. Bioengineered with bonded reinforced carbon, Closet Savers are strong enough for the heaviest garments. Look, it can actually support this vacuum cleaner. It's that strong. Don't stuff it. Create more space with Closet Savers. Look again. You'll save so much space, it's like adding a whole new closet to your home. Coats, dresses, shirts, suits, all your garments fit perfectly with Closet Savers. Do your closets look like this? With Closet Savers, the same closet can look like this. Don't waste hundreds with overpriced closet companies or with complicated kits that may bend or break. We'll send you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Closet Savers. Each one holds 6 articles. That's enough to hold 30 garments in all. Now only $19.95, an incredible value from TV Products. Use them all in one closet or put one in each closet of your home for every family member. Now double your closet space with Closet Savers, the ultimate storage solution.
Have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-952-7700. That's 1-800-952-7700. Due to tremendous response for this valuable offer, COD orders are not possible. To order by mail, send check or money order for just $19.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling to Closet Savers, Box 800T, Verona, New Jersey, 07044. Or for quickest delivery, use your credit card and call 1-800-952-7700.
I hate to bother you, Dixie.
No bother, Annie. I'll just go to People's Drug. But next time, take lessons.
Have you got the list?
Yes. Cosmetics, prescription.
Oh, have them fill that with a generic. That saves me money.
Okay.
And have them develop my film. I just love their 4x6 prints. And on everything else, get People's brand. They cost less.
Isn't it nice to have a real drugstore close by?
With real value.
And real convenience.
Some are even open 24 hours.
People's Drug.
The convenience you want.
The savings you deserve.
AT&T has a long-distance package for people who love to keep in touch. Heavy, isn't it? It's AT&T Reach Out America, an innovative long-distance package. Look inside. You'll find it's packed with savings opportunities around the clock, 24 hours a day. Our new low price of $8.70 a month gives you a full hour of calls across the U.S. on weekends and nights. So you can call Alaska for a full hour or all the way to Hawaii. And the hour is always one low price. But don't order yet. We've packed in a lot more. Weekdays, you get 5% off your AT&T long-distance calls. You also get 15% off your evening calls. And if you order today, you'll save $5. It's a limited offer you shouldn't let get away. Hey, nice catch. So order AT&T Reach Out America. It's packed with savings opportunities around the clock 24 hours a day, which makes it easier than ever to call loved ones in the next state or clear across the country. To get your package, call 1-800, call 1-800, call 1-800-446-6660. Our new low price of $8.70 a month gives you a full hour of calls all across the country on weekends and nights. You'll also get 5% off your AT&T long-distance calls during the day and 15% off your evening calls. Better yet, order your package now and save $5. It's a limited offer you shouldn't let get away. Call 1-800-446-6660 and get the AT&T package that offers savings opportunities 24 hours a day. Get AT&T Reach Out America. It's the long-distance package worth looking into.
Volkswagens cost less every day at Capital Volkswagen on Rhode Island Avenue.
Capital Volkswagen Golfs cost less every day.
Capital Foxes cost less.
Capital Jettas cost less
every day.
More Volkswagen
for less money every day.
Capital Volkswagen,
1401 Rhode Island Avenue.
Subarus cost less
every day
at Capital Subaru
on Rhode Island Avenue.
Our Justies cost you less.
Capital Subaru Coupes,
sedans, wagons, and legacies cost less.
Capital XTs and XT6s
cost less every day.
Capital has the Subaru for you
for less
every day.
Capital Subaru.
Hi, I'm Robert Urich, and I've got some good news. The new WASH-FM is a little different. Have you heard it? It's got a lot more variety. Great oldies and the best of today's popular favorites. Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers, Whitney Houston, and always 3 or 4 in a row with no talk. But don't take my word for it. Give it a try. 97.1 FM, WASH, near the middle of the FM dial. 97.1 FM.
Attention, citizens. My directive number 3 prevents me from paying a lot for this muffler.
Don't worry. At Meineke, you get quality Everlast mufflers from just $18.93 installed.
Thank you for your cooperation. I did not pay a lot for this muffler. Have a nice day.
You're not going to pay a lot for quality at Meineke.
When I had a heart attack, this small life call remote control saved my life. With it, I was instantly able to contact Life Call's 24-hour monitoring center. Just press the button, and you can talk directly to Life Call, and they can talk to you without your touching a telephone. When you need help, Life Call summons an ambulance, paramedics, your family, and your doctor, and help rushes to your side without your touching a telephone. So if you're elderly, live alone, are disabled, or suffer from any medical condition, protect yourself. Get free information by mail about Life Call. It's the affordable medical emergency response system that brings help to you at the touch of a button. Call to get full details by mail now. There's absolutely no obligation.
For free information about Life Call, call 1-800-453-4500. The call is free. That's 1-800-453-4500.
All right, let's see if things actually work. I'll throw up the color bars if I need to, or better yet, the old demon there. All right, this has been, the computer's been giving me crap for a while now. That's why I started late. Will it work? Will I get picture? Amazing. Hey. But does anything else work? I do have some, you can probably tell this is going to be a bit of a mess, even by my low standards. Okay, we're alive then. Great. All right. So, this is going to be kind of an interesting one. I had my headphones on for a bit there just to make sure that things were going through. Oh, do I have product placement going on? Well, to hell with that. I'll move my other caffeinated beverage out of the way. All right, so whenever I did that last public domain theater thing, I said I would come back around Memorial Day and do another one, but obviously that did not happen. So just a lot has happened in the last few weeks. So the first leg of this stream is going to be just what's going on, what to expect for the next few months, and then we will lapse into some Q&A type stuff, and we'll see if there is any humor to be had in this. I'm not feeling tremendously funny right now, but we'll see what we get. So anyway, I'll just make this our next State of the Archive video. I've been trying to make it like every 3 months, but yeah, it's going to be closer to just under 2 this time around. So if you've been following me just really over the last year and a half, you know my father has dementia, and the last few weeks have been really rough, and there's kind of a reason why I have not been putting much of anything out lately. So I've been keeping a running diary of this, partially for our neurologist, but I've got a big long running kind of half of a book written at this point. But I was trying to fill in the latest round of stuff before we got started here. So anyway, let's see here. He's developed a nice violent streak lately, so much so that I think we're going to be putting him, even though I don't know how the hell we're going to make it work financially, put him into a memory care facility ultimately. So I've also mentioned that the internet popular thing with dementia is to break it down into 7 stages, and there's a bunch of sub-stages. He is at 6E. The very end is 6E, so we've been right on the edge of going into full-on end stage for almost 2 years now, and it just doesn't seem to happen. And in that time, the crazy levels have just gone higher and higher, and we've spent a lot of time lately just adjusting the medicine cocktail, as it were, and unsuccessfully, really with quite diminishing returns at this point. So we've had some attacks. He attacked a family member, a visiting family member, a couple weeks ago, and to the point where a police report was filed. And just finally, I've been nagging Mom to start trying to talk to an elder law attorney, figure out what we need to do, what the road ahead's going to look like, and we're finally doing that. But in doing so, it's meant me not working on archive at all. It's been me trying to find all this paperwork, and I'm disorganized. My parents are probably that much worse. So it's been trying to find all that stuff and trying to just figure out what we need, and as I said, just to move along. So what's been truly happening the last week or two here is that we've had a few days where the crazy levels, prior to our meeting with the attorney, where the crazy levels went so high that he was convinced that his house was going to blow up, and really strong delusions like that. Needed to get out, the place is going to explode, the place is going to blow. And I wound up locking him in the car for a little while, but ultimately I wound up just aimlessly driving him around, and unsuccessfully came home, would not get out of the car. and eventually wore him down with, if you're familiar with the thing called melatonin. You can buy it at the pharmacy. You can buy it at Walmart. It's a thing to help you relax to go to sleep. It's herbal. It's not a narcotic or anything. But I crushed one of those melatonin, put it in some water, finally got him to drink the water, and then finally he came down off of it. Now, the punchline to this joke is that he is on an antipsychotic, but the antipsychotic doesn't work. It ramps up the crazy. So I've been in this constant back and forth with the neurologist via the email system through the hospital, and just trying to say this is not working, and she keeps trying to get me to raise the amount, hoping that it'll just, kind of be so strong it'll knock him right out. But he feels it coming, and he just fights it that much harder. So I was really saying, no, we should not do that. And now we're bringing in I didn't know there was such a thing until yesterday, a geriatric psychiatrist into the picture. So I guess that's going to be happening sometime soon. I'm not sure how that's quite going to work. But anyway, back on the memory care thing, the agreement right now is because he will never go willingly. So the next time he has another really hardcore freak out, and he had 2 in a row a week or 2 ago, that's when we're supposed to take him to the behavioral health hospital, and then he would be put theoretically on an indefinite psych hold and then ultimately placed somewhere. But yeah, it means opening a whole lot of cans of worms, and ones I don't know if we're really quite prepared or even equipped to do. But yeah, it's just gotten too dangerous. Indeed, I'm using my phone for a camera here, so if Mom calls me, it's probably going to cut off the camera and stuff, and I may just have to just very abruptly end this stream. But yeah, we had on that day that I was mentioning with the car and the house is going to explode and all that, my dad was convinced I was going to kill him. I wasn't. But she wound up having to call one of her sisters and her husband, so they came over and spent, I had to just hang out in the basement for a couple hours just because the sight of me was setting him off, and just, sit there and kind of just chat his ear off and finally get him to calm down. And finally I was able to come out and start, getting away from it after he finally went to bed. But yeah, and then we went through it, a somewhat mellower version the next day. I mean, it's never truly mellow. But yeah, that's kind of what my life has looked like. So the shortest possible version is every single day might be that day. We don't know when that next real 5-alarm freak out is going to be. But when it is, that's it. And indeed, when that does happen, everything is just a mess between Archive HQ and my parents' stuff. It's going to take probably 2 or 3 weeks just to try and clean up the mess. If I moved the camera even slightly, you would know just what horrible disarray everything is. I just shoved everything out of the way, out of the shot to do this tonight. So yes, that's kind of where we are. And as such, this summer is going to be pretty sparse. I'm still really around a lot and trying to run interference. Mom's been around a lot more lately, thankfully. So, yeah, and as such, I'm just not really working a whole lot. So I did have one more regular archive episode in the works for this season, which means nothing right now. But I think that one's just on the back burner. But I do, to stay with YouTube's partner program, gotta pump out some material. So yeah, I think this is going to be kind of the summer of the Ben's junk and the general chats and rants. So unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of scripted content or anything like that. I don't really plan any further live streams. I'm just doing this kind of as a catch-all so I can update everyone and also just kind of lapse into some more general chat, and hopefully we can have a little better time tonight, but we'll just see how that goes. So how long have I been rambling here? About 11 minutes now, I think. So anyway, I obviously have not been able to read the comments as I go along here. But yeah, I guess I'll just start kind of looking at whatever your comments are, if you have questions or you just want me to go into maybe more depth about what's going on or whatever. But yeah, I don't expect this to be a particularly long live stream tonight. But yeah, I'm 20 to 30 seconds ahead of you. So go ahead and start firing off whatever you wish to on me. If you want, some of my good textbook bad advice. So I appreciate all the well wishes coming in here. No, this is not my grandpa. This is my father. And that went fast. Okay. So the next Oddity Archive episode will be the last of this season. I don't know if I'll do that. It may count as the next one. The one with the sitcoms may have wound up being the unintentional season finale. Let's see. What is the first ever television commercial you've watched after you're born? I'll be damned if I remember. First one I remember is the one for Right Guard, where they would have basketball players or Hulk Hogan or whoever come in and try and have them do something that was more dignified, I suppose, than you would expect out of, and they end it with anything else would be uncivilized. That's about as far back as my brain goes. Jordan Barr, how do I prep myself for my live streams? Caffeine and a whole lot of hope. I do try, and I found when the last time I went on a trip a couple years ago, when I did the AM stereo thing the second time around, I was just trying to give myself a chance to get set up by running random stuff from the Archive Annex channel, just to get things started and get people a chance to be seated, so to speak. And since then, it's become kind of a thing where I just try and come up with a little something to put together, hopefully some degree of thematic, just to get things started. But otherwise, it's me pretty well winging it. Certainly the public domain ones are just me improvising, at times rather poorly. So let's see here. And if anybody, I will accept super chats, certainly. Bear in mind, YouTube takes half. So if I miss one, I might just be behind, but I will catch up. All right. Any update on archive thrifting, Benny boy? Yeah, there is. I've gotten about 2 minutes of footage in so far in 2025 because I'm just simply not going thrifting. I'm either trying to care for my father or trying to keep things in place with both my parents, or I am just trying to bash out a Ben's junk or something or edit it quickly around here. So thrifting has fallen by the wayside, and unfortunately this is kind of prime thrifting time at this time of year. Let's see here. Have I ever thought about opening a Discord server for the community? No, I have zero experience with Discord, so it'd be one more thing to learn. I know that sounds really lame on my part, but I'm in a position right now where I'm really leaning on what I know just so I can get things done at all. So yeah, I have not been exploring anything new lately, just in the name of keeping things moving. Let's see here. Let's see. Classical gas emissions, Ben. Good to see you. Just got my mother paneled for a home. Now I'm waiting for a spot to open. Her brain is pretty mushy. I'm apparently her brother, and I have days where I am my dad's brother, but my uncle Bob, his brother, passed away in 2019. And indeed, he's in that zone where everybody he wants to see has been dead for, at the very least, a few years, but usually died sometime from the 70s through the 90s. And he has, I'd say about as forward as his brain goes is about 1975. I really have to be careful about what music is playing in the car, what radio station I have it on. I cannot put it on the 60s station or 50s on the XM because it truly drags him back to childhood. He doesn't necessarily recognize the songs, but there must be something in there that kind of half clicks. At his worst, he wants to go home. And when he says he wants to go home, he means his childhood home back in the 50s that his family moved out of in the late 50s. That got bulldozed, I believe, in the early 80s. So, it's just wanting to be in these places that don't exist, see people that are long gone. So, yes, it's been pretty horrible. Let's see here. Brian Hebert, I don't remember if I've asked this before, but I've wanted a Family Channel Isms episode for a while myself. And yeah, eventually when I start making archive a little more regularly again, that is one of the ones that I hope to do. I mean, I'd have to look into it, like the whole prehistoric Comedy Central thing a while back. That was supposed to be just on Comedy Central, but I found the prehistory more interesting, so I don't know if I'm ever going to do a Comedy Central one on that note. But yeah, I do intend to do some networkisms eventually, some more sitcom stuff eventually. I've got a ton of stuff off camera that I need to cover. I've got my first video game console, which I forgot was even a thing just out of the shot from when I was truly little. And boy, that was a strange trip back. But I need the time to work on it. That's why I am so stuck with just the Ben's Junks and the general chats here. Let's see here. I may botch this name. Dimos, something to that effect, but $2 super chat. Thank you. Have I heard of the Selena Delgado Lopez myth? I can't say that's ringing any bells. There was the Lopez on the last TV sign-offs episode where it was the missing persons thing. Let's see, Wade, what were the early warning signs that your dad had dementia? My mom passed away in 2015 due to illness, but I wonder if she was beginning to get dementia just before her passing. That does happen, but I always feel so crappy with this. I would say the warning signs for him were there way back in 2007 when he turned 60. He developed this kind of anti-intellectual streak. That's the best way I can describe it. He stopped reading. He stopped doing anything that took much of any brain power. And he started kind of pushing people out of his life. And indeed, when I was talking about, wanting to see relatives who have been dead for years, at least 2 of those, he brushed off their funerals. He did not want to attend. So I think that was, like I said, 07 would have been the first warning sign. But yeah, negative changes in personality, shoving people out of your life, developing kind of an active disinterest in anything even sort of intellectual. That would be probably a decent sign. But the weird thing with this whole matter is it took Mom and I a stupidly long time to figure it out because there's no real family history of it. You have to go back a few generations on his side for anyone, and before much of the medical jargon and stuff was even really in place yet, you have to go that far back. And otherwise, on Mom's side of the family, which I know doesn't affect his, but the one and only dementia case on that side is an in-law. So, yeah, in retrospect, the danger signs were there. There was the bad memory already starting to happen in like 2011, but there was a thing where he was also on a cholesterol drug, a statin, and sometimes statins can affect your memory, and maybe that was it. So, yeah, and then after a certain point, it was just Mom and I kind of going, everybody loses it a little with age, and some more than others. He must just be hitting his kind of level of senility, for lack of a better term. But yeah, it didn't become truly apparent till 2020. So anyway, kind of a long-winded one there. Let's see. Super Orange Cat, if I do another sign-offs, would you go into some Canadian sign-offs? Yeah, the thing about when I do those broadcast quirks things is you have to build up not only enough of them for an episode, but enough interesting ones or goofy ones, whatever it might be. So yeah, I certainly haven't written off Sign-Offs Volume 3, but that stuff takes years to accrue. I mean, it was 11 years between Volume 1 and 2. I'm hoping it's not 11 more years before Volume 3, and that's why there have only ever been like 2 true emergency broadcast salute episodes. It's just not that deep a well is the problem. Geez, we're into the part of the evening where the scroll starts getting a mind of its own here. Let's see, Terry Ensley. How do I protect myself or my mom when he has an outburst? Remove yourself from the situation. Have your eye on the door. Do not get too close into his immediate sphere. I mean, I took a punch from him on Easter Sunday. I took a punch right in the jaw, and the adrenaline levels were running so high with me, I didn't even feel it. I mean, I knew he did it, but I didn't feel it until like 3 hours later. So I've had that. The worst he's done to Mom so far is he's grabbed her arm a couple of times, and fairly hard. So, yeah, and that's my thing. I'm always afraid that he's gonna have like a really vivid dream and he's gonna try and attack Mom or something. So that's been arguably my biggest fear in life, but really every fear I've had has come true with all this. But trying to keep some level of faith through this, I suppose. Let's see here. Vinyl Den, I haven't seen you in a while. Would you ever do a Ben's Junk on random TikTok shop tech? I don't do TikTok at all. That is just absolutely not my zone. So yeah, probably not. Let's see here. Oh, whoa. Max. Very, 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 very generous super chat there. Get myself a goodie. My spouse is in last stage hospice. I'll light an extra candle at church for you and her Sunday. Yeah, take care of yourself there, Max. As far as getting myself a goodie, I'm in terrible fear because I'm not really working much that my income level is just going to drop so low that I'm really going to be in trouble. So I don't know about goodies, although I had one of my rescuer moments just yesterday. So I've always got, I have quite literally over 100 running Fleabay searches. And it came up, even though I don't own any Cartravision gear, the early home video format from 72, 73, I covered it on the second Format Wars episode. Somebody had posted this lot where it was 3 copies of the Sears demo tape plus the video manual, and there was a line of, in the end, Cartravision only American Heritage tapes, as they're known, hosted by Orson Welles, him kind of reciting bits of famous authors and stuff. And that was $100, but I just had one of those moments where I'm like, I don't want to see this either go in a landfill, nor do I want to see some gatekeeper get it. So I just had to do it. I had one of those, some people feel bad for a stray cat. I guess I'm that way with certain media. And indeed, some of those are still considered missing media, those Orson Welles tapes. I need to check with his estate, because they were, as recently as last year, we're still looking for those. The last one they had, they thought they had one of the missing ones, but somebody had erased it. And that's one of the crappy things about Cartravision. You can erase those things pretty easily. You can tape over them, without any real trouble. So I'm sure a lot of people, especially when they were on clearance, were just recording over the pre-recorded stuff just so they could have some tape. Let's see here. Old radios. I bought a Realistic Astronaut 8 from eBay. So like the one I have. Good radio. I'm about 50 years late to the party. And indeed, I have stuck with my NOAA weather radio, which is just a bit out of the shot, because the reception level, the sensitivity is just about the same, and it's a lot more compact. So it's not me having the big old Astronaut 8 sitting out. But yeah, I'm sure that those were a real trip back in the 70s when shortwave and stuff were a lot more active. Let's see. Fox TV Network. Little snipe at Fox. When was the last time you used the micro analog TV transmitter? So I assume you mean just broadcasting out the back of a VCR, hooking an antenna to the output of the VCR. The last Halloween episode I made that I actually got finished, that was 2023. Yeah, that would have been the last time. The CHRR 83. Any rip-off records you haven't shown us? Oh, I've got tons. In fact, I should say there probably will not be a record rip-offs this year unless things just pick up again for me personally. But I have two that I would like to do. One, I've gotten this influx of foreign ones, like ones from England and Germany and stuff. So I was going to do an international flavor one. So, songs, a focus on songs that were hits over in, say, England, but didn't necessarily catch on here. So, granted, getting more esoteric with the knockoffs, but one for the foreign viewers and for more of us record collector types, the last time I did a Sergei, I actually played one of the songs from it by a group called Amen Corner, which was big in England in the late 60s. Could not get the time of day here in America. But their frontman, Andy Fairweather-Lowe, did some really good solo albums in the 70s, and he's become a big-time session musician and touring guy for Eric Clapton and Van Morrison and Roger Waters and a bunch of others. So that was kind of cool, getting something from his old band in knockoff form, perverse as that sounds. So that one will definitely be more for like the Brits and so on. The other one, before I forget, I want to do an all soul edition, all R&B edition, however you want to look at it, because I got a whole ton of 70s soul R&B ones, especially on 8-track. Which reminds me, I need to either repair my 8-track deck, which is I'm blocking, or I need to replace it, because that thing's got something wrong in the Dolby circuitry that's interfering with everything else. The pilot tone is finding its way right into the signal, so I haven't been able to do it. Not that I am in a great position to work on it. And even then, one thing I'd like to do is work on my soldering a little more, just random stuff, trying to build up some chops, because I suck at it. And that was the last how I did my summer thing, how I spent my summer, rather. Let's see, Greg Pfeiffer, am I familiar with Brinsley Schwarz? Oh yeah, I've got all the Brinsley Schwarz albums. I'm a huge Nick Lowe fan. I have Ian Gomm's first album. Of course, Brinsley himself went on to back Graham Parker. Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with Brinsley Schwarz. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, a super chat from... It's cutting off the name, but Carbonated Dippin' is what it's showing me. 8 pounds. Thank you. Have I accumulated more Aimvest tapes? Ford. I am still working on trying to accrue all the dazzling Disney tapes. They had a line of tapes of theatrical trailers, all hosted by the Happy Hamster. I've really wanted to do another Happy Hamster one, but I've only been able to scrounge together 3 out of the 5. And I want my own copies, too, but those things are just stupid rare, and I've paid more than I care to admit for at least one of them. Let's see. Oh, another super chat. Kurtzov. Thank you for the Benny Boy Fund, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose I kind of need it. Gino. I don't know when exactly I'll get your Six Gun Theater plugged tomorrow. I have a lot going on tomorrow, but I'll try and get it sometime later in the day. Anyway, hey Ben, have you ever considered forgotten TV shows from the early days of TV? Like shows that are entirely public domain? Not really. My interest in early TV tends to be more from a technological standpoint over the content itself. I can struggle with some of those early TV shows, actually. See the Dumont episode. I consider the Dumont episode to be kind of the great endurance test of all the years of Oddity Archive. EASCEC, have I ever seen the preview guide or the EPG when I was little? Oh yeah, and I watched it more than any sane kid ever should. I did the episode on it. I kind of went over my own little history with it, and that wasn't exaggeration. For whatever reason, I was known to just kind of park it there. I was also one of the weird kids that would occasionally park it on the Weather Channel back when it was, talk about weather for a bit, and then it would be the automated local forecast with the smooth jazz playing and talk a little more and just rinse and repeat. Old radios, may I make a suggestion? A Texan S22X is a great radio that gets CB channels and single sideband. Okay. Speaking of CB, I really need to get my rig back up someday. But again, that's just not a priority right now. Okay, super chat from Commodore Fan 64. Thank you. I had to put one of my grandmas in a home years ago because of dementia. It took a lot of burden off my family, so it will be good for y'all. Yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for. Actually, as cruel as it sounds, and I really don't want to sound cruel about this, but we are kind of hoping that it finally does get us into end stage. It's almost like, I don't know, do we take too good a care of him? Do we dote on him a little too much and we need to back off so it finally starts to slow down and come to an end? There's been a whole lot of kind of moral questions, like the thing about him having his next real big freak out. I know how to wind him up very, very easily. I could make any day that day, but I just cannot do it because I know I would have to live with it for the rest of my life. And that's what keeps me from saying, okay, today's the day. So I'm trying to keep it as natural as possible, but at the same time, I don't want it to get violent, or if it has to get violent, I'd rather I'll take a punch a lot better than my mom would, just by definition. Let's see, Weather Star. Will I do an episode on early cable TV weather stations? I have only ever seen one, and that doesn't really count. It was really more of a bulletin board channel. But Fuzzy Memories has a wonderful video from Christmas Day 1975 from Nashville, Tennessee. You can look it up on the Fuzzy Memories channel. And it's a camera, I forget the name of it. It's one of my running Fleabase searches, but it's kind of a half moon thing. And it's got a rig in the middle for a camera, and it can switch around to different positions. So in one direction you can have handwritten weather, you can have handwritten bulletin, you can have whatever, but or just put a clock in one of those positions. I wish I remember what that was called. But anyway, that's to me kind of the really interesting one, but I just haven't seen much on that. Let's see here. Let's see, another super chat. Daft Optimist, thank you. I'm trying to take care of myself. It's getting tough, though. Yeah, and part of why I'm not working is on a lot of these days, I have days where I just do not function. And I actually had one, even though nothing had happened, I had one back on Monday where I was just like staring at the wall most of the day. Nothing had really happened, but every now and then just something flips inside me and I just kind of shut down for a bit. And of course I know my blood pressure is high, and it's just like, well, what the hell am I going to do about that? So yeah, when I am able to take care of myself, so to speak, it's more like just trying to get some sleep or try and watch something as utterly escapist as possible. And I have a big backlog of stuff I need to watch and listen to and stuff that I just haven't done because I'm just not in the right headspace for it. Case in point, it's actually just out of the shot. If you're a Pink Floyd fan, Pink Floyd at Pompeii, the audio from it finally came out as an album, but they've also reissued the movie, the concert film, and I pre-ordered that way ahead of time, got it on the release date like a month ago, and they're still just sitting there sealed. I just have not been in the right headspace, as strange as it sounds for Pink Floyd, to check it out. And I do have my trepidations, though. I guess they've Steven Wilson went and remixed the audio, and I really liked the original mix from. I mean, for 1972 is a great mix. I'm way off track. Anyway, let's see here. Winter Robinson. Okay, I saw this question earlier. What tech do I want but can't get due to legal cost or rarity? I don't know about legality. I can't think of anything I want that would be a legal issue. I have a lot of stuff that I need repaired is what I need. I've got plenty of stuff that I've just never been able to cover because it needs some real repairs that I'm simply not equipped to give. I have a Skipfield Sony CV recorder, and it's also got the TV with it. I covered it very, very briefly at one point, but that thing needs a ton of work, and I'd love to see that thing working again. I'd probably have to just rely on my own recordings, my own new recordings, to test whether or not it's working, but I don't have the ability to fix that, and it needs calibrated too, aligned, however you want to look at it, but I do not have that ability. I'm sure there's stuff. I mentioned Cartravision. That was frustrating. If I ever did get my hands on a Cartravision, I'd have to find somebody who really is good at restoration, because those things are beyond the point of just like bad capacitors. I mean, it would probably have to be rebuilt damn near from the ground up. Let's see here. Demos, another one. Selena was Mexico's version of Joanna Lopez. Okay, and is the source of many creepypastas and tasteless edits, mixing her image with the Baton Rouge Slayer. Okay, I don't read creepypastas. I didn't even realize that was a thing anymore. Kyle McElravy, do I know I have an Elmo? Oh, jeez, this thing's moving around on me again. Yeah, I do know about your Telescene thing. I remember you sent me a private message about that when you did. I only own one 16 millimeter thing. I think I own two, but one that I would ever want transferred, and that's just a 30-second commercial that somebody rescued out of a dumpster behind a TV station, God knows when. Yeah, I need to get deeper into 16 at some point, but again, it's just not a priority right now. Let's see, old radios. Have I seen Collector Net's videos? He has great videos on transistor radios. Never even heard of it. That's the first I've heard of it. The only real diehard techie channel I ever watch is Shango 066, and I always have to work on his impression, but I never quite seem to get it right. Do my impersonation of him. Let's see here. This is more of a comment. Dementia rates have been statistically skyrocketing over the past decade or two. Statins and SARS-CoV-2 infection seem to be pretty huge drivers. So his statin may have driven it, but you never know. And like I said, I think what fooled us was just the lack of family history over it. And also, I'm convinced that we've been, when somebody has dementia, they regress. They keep going farther and farther into the past. I am convinced that he had ADHD. Now, growing up in the 50s and early 60s, it wasn't even a term yet. I don't think the term was coined until sometime in the 70s, if not early 80s. But I have read that ADHD is a contributor to dementia, so I'm thinking that might be, in his case, that, and maybe the statin episode in the early 2010s may have contributed to that, but you never know. I mean, the earlier the diagnosis, the more you can really work this stuff out. But by the same token, to get a diagnosis, you have to fail the round of questions with the doctor, like you don't know your own home address anymore, that sort of thing. That seems to be the only time you can get the diagnosis. So it's kind of one of those horrible, I don't know what you want to say, chicken and the egg sort of kind of things. Let's see here. Brian Noblock. Whoa, thank you. take my time getting back to regular OA episodes. We'll be here. And I am going to have to. Like I said, I will do my darndest to keep the channel afloat here, but I can guarantee you it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks of me just cleaning once the memory care thing finally happens. Indeed, I'm wearing my lawn mowing, gardening jeans, however you want to look at it right now, because I had to, my dad had a big dump, shall we say, chocolate pudding, as me and classical gas emissions are known to call it. And I was trying to clean that out, and I'm going to have to rent a rug doctor tomorrow. I've gotten to be very good at the rug doctor. That was something I never thought I would get good at. Let's see here. Another super chat, and I cannot read that name at all. Intabi? Something to that effect. Thank you, nonetheless. Hibotni, if I spell it backwards. Let's see here. Gino, since YouTube takes a sizable chunk of the super chat cash, I decided to send you something over PayPal. You don't need to do that, Gino. I know you got problems of your own, man. You don't need to send me anything. Let's see here. Angel, hey. Hey, Ben, good to see you alive. My mom is doing okay. She gets forgetful, losing her train of thought, and goes through days of not showering. The bathing thing has become a problem. And pajamas, my lord. At the end of the day, pajamas. And we just went through that before I started. Before I got over here, that was... it finally ended at about 7. And he's developed this thing where he does not want to change out of his regular clothes at the end of the day and into his pajamas. He wants to go to bed, but part of the problem is he will not wear like stretchy pants during the day and stuff. He just refuses to, because he has spent his whole life in button-down shirts and slacks and stuff, and so that's one of those habits we were never able to break. And well, he's not going to be able to use the bathroom if he has to get up in the middle of the night, which is a problem in and of itself. Anyway, let's see here. Brian Hebert, have I heard of any of the pre-WB, UPN, CW, ION low power networks? Yeah, and I started an episode on partially that and partially would-be competitors to, Fox became the 4th TV network in the late 80s. There were some other ones and some kind of stabs at what we would now think of as a sub-channel, a digital sub-channel, like a MeTV or something like that. I started working on it, and I had to abandon it due to lack of footage. I kind of knew what I wanted to cover, but the footage was so sparse and the documentation was so sparse that I just had to abandon that one, unfortunately. Is there anything from the archive, Jesse Scott, that stands out to you as memorable and enjoy looking back on? Yeah, I'd probably have to think about it a bit. The AM stereo thing stands out. Certainly the Halloween episodes stand out to me. The ones that stand out to me might not necessarily be the one that most viewers would. Basically the ones that break the formula. Those are the ones that stand out to me for obvious reasons, because archive can be kind of feeling like making the same video over and over again for me. Kyle McElravy, ever consider doing an episode based on extinct snack foods? That's a bit beyond the scope of archive. I'm pretty eclectic, but food is not a place I need to go into. Let's see here. Have I heard of the Quantel paint box? Oh yeah, I've even referenced it a couple of times. It was used to make logos. Yeah, I've certainly heard of it. Like I said, I've referenced it a couple of times. But I don't know about covering it is the thing. It's almost one of those things I'd like to have, but it would also fall into that zone where I'd use it once and never again. So I'd kind of rather see a broadcasting person do that. Let's see here. Let's see. A lot of general comments, and I do appreciate them. Let's see. Something Suave Theater. Sorry to hear about everything you're going through. My question is, do you have an HD DVD player, or do you want to do a Ben's Junk on one? For that question, yes, I do have it. It's appeared on Archive once, very briefly in the DVHS episodes, the last episode of History of VHS. Yeah, I've got it Toshiba, and the last time I had it out was when I made that episode, whenever that was, a few years ago. And I'm just hoping it keeps working. I have a terrible relationship with Toshiba stuff, especially Toshiba from after the year 2000. Doing a Ben's Junk on it, I don't know. There weren't that many models of those things, and it's the most common one. Let's see. Also, what home video format would you want to own but don't? Any ones that I don't already have. So Cartravision, of course, it has to work too. No Cartravision stuff at all. I do not have any of the Sanyo V-Cord stuff. There were some kind of more esoteric open reel ones, but yeah, at least I have the biggies. Let's see, I can't make out that name, but any thoughts of the Lost Media community? I know they've referenced me a few times, but I don't really spend any time there. It seems like when I do, it's less about media being actually lost and more about just nobody's posted it to YouTube yet, and I do consider that a difference. Yeah, as opposed to like a lot of the Dumont stuff being dumped into the bay. That is lost media. Let's see, Pearly RKT, just wanted to thank you for all you've done with Archive over the years. Started watching in middle school. Thank you for making me feel old. You inspired me to pursue broadcasting as my career. Owe it all to you. I hope it's good to you. I've heard that broadcasting has changed a lot in recent years, but yeah, I hope it works for you. Let's see here. Vinyl Den, have I ever come across a hydraulic turntable like the one featured in A Clockwork Orange? No, never have. Brian Hebert, have I heard of HD VMD? No, I haven't. Let's see here. Record Hound, Ben, has anyone offered to help you with writing and producing archive episodes? Yeah, it has. But the thing about collaboration is, even though you think it might ease the burden, it really adds to it. In my experience, those are harder to make. You're trying to work with other people's schedules. You're trying to just iron stuff out. So that's why I don't really collaborate much. The biggest one I ever did was episode 200, and I knew that was going to be a problem ahead of time, and I still had, it seemed like I had to push that one back a bit because I just couldn't quite get it together. That thing had been in the works for a few months. Let's see here. Red Racer 1985. Apologies if you've been asked this before, but what's your favorite type of music? Anybody that knows me knows I'm the classic rock and oldies guy. Let's see here. Dave Porter, if you need help translating German, feel free to reach out. Okay. Let's see here. Ben, CGE, Classical Gas Emissions, I still need to mail you the car adapter for your Sony Open Reel VTR. I didn't even realize there was such a thing. That would be something. Of course, technically I don't even have a car right now. I've been having to use Dad's because mine, I had to sell mine last summer because it was always in the shop. It was such a money drain that I just couldn't keep it anymore. So I've been, using Dad's, and that might be going away soon, depending on what is considered an asset. Oh god, that's another thing. The whole asset thing with pay down of assets for memory care and eventual Medicaid, maybe not. Who the hell knows? Let's see here. Super chat from Herb Craven. Thank you. Sending you positive energy and much love, Ben. Hang in there, friend. Thanks. Eric O'Reilly, the only song I know of Andy Fairweather Low is Wide-Eyed and Legless. Yeah, that might be my favorite of his, and that is the ultimate Alcoholics song, isn't it? It's not something by George Thorogood. I think that's a better view of the situation. Let's see here. Pox TV Network, have I ever thought about making a TV news parody of some sort? Kinda, sorta. I've the last few Halloween episodes have been, in all reality, local TV parodies. I do fold it into other things, just commentary on broadcasting or just whatever stuff, and then of course tying it in with a horror theme. But there's a guy named Andrew Ball, who I've talked with a couple of times. When he was just starting his channel, he asked me if he could use some of my stuff from Archive Annex for material for a parody of an American Airlines ad that he was working on. And he has made some of the most impressive stuff, like making a half-hour, TV broadcast from 1990, him playing all the characters, and it just incredibly well done. And he has this collection of like old bags and stuff. So he does a Hy-Vee parody ad, the grocery chain, and he has an actual Hy-Vee bag, from 30 years ago. So, man, props to him. He's really good. Unfortunately, when your work is that ambitious, it really limits your output. So he doesn't release a whole lot, but yeah. He does a fantastic job. EASCEC, have I ever planned on getting a 35mm projector? I don't know where I would put it, is part of the thing. Not really. I think that might be a bit beyond my scope. I'd say 16 would be tops. And even then, it's going back and forth. Do I want a projector or do I want some sort of telecine rig? Speaking of looking for things, the Kodak video player, or something to that effect, which is what some stations would use as a telecine of sorts. You put film in it. And there was another one from 1970 or so that CBS had that did something similar. Let's see here. Red Racer 1985. I tried Bonomo's Vanilla Turkish Taffy back in 2022 at Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It was really good. I liked it. Good for you. I was kind of indifferent towards it, but I'm also not a taffy person. Let's see here. Trying to get past the kind of general comments. Jesse Scott, have I tried the Weather Channel emulator? Yeah, I did, and I did it on, it had to have been, was it the Preview Channel episode? I did it in one of the videos I did, and I just could not make it work, but I'm trying to remember which video that was. I failed spectacularly with it. I'm trying to scroll through this. Let's see. I always call him Canadian Ben, but classical gas emissions. Canadian Ben, no relation. Haha, get it? Did I have a good relationship with my dad before the dementia? We had the walking, talking definition of an on-again, off-again, hot and cold relationship. Our big running beefs were, one, he always had this, it's kind of biting him in the ass now. He had this thing against hobbies. He did not like anybody having hobbies. And of course, when he started to get a little older and more time on his hands and stuff, he certainly could have used it. And it might have kept him out of dementia land if he was willing. But yeah, it was that he didn't like me making music. He always thought I should have been married and had kids, but I just never, met anyone that I wanted to go down that road with. It was as simple as that. It wasn't, I wasn't going to get married for the sake of getting married. So yeah, and our relationship at this point, I do my absolute darndest to take care of him. I would like to think at this point that every kid does dumb crap to their parents. I'd like to think I've made up for it by now, but I won't lie, it's been very strained lately, and I'd say we're kind of on our last legs. And it's really only been in the last couple of weeks, even with all the real problems, that I'm finally starting to see the future. So again, as cruel as it sounds, part of me is kind of looking forward to memory care just to try and wind it down, because again, I have so many days where I feel like I've just pushed the rock, so to speak, as far as I can. Let's see here. Kurtzov again. Mood. You were not alone in just parking it on the Weather Channel and waiting around for the automated system to kick in. Maybe a TWC-isms episode? Yeah, I don't know. It seems like that's been done. It seems like I see a lot of Weather Channel stuff on YouTube. And there's a lot of people that really know that stuff and know how weather works. I can read a radar. That's about as good as I get. I don't really, I never studied meteorology. Obviously, it's never been a real interest of mine. Let's see here, old radios. Vidcraft. Vidcraft, as in the stack of Vidcraft stuff I did for a Ben's Junk a while ago. I've done enough Vidicraft, unless you're talking about something else. Or are you referring to the swivel thing? That might have been that. Let's see here. More weather commercials, which I think I've kind of... Or commercials, questions. Pardon me, my brain's a bit broken right now. I'm just kind of scrolling through the general comments here, and I do appreciate them. Cinemagic 77, see your doctor and have him prescribe for you some lisinopril. Oh, for my blood pressure. It might be in the pipeline. The funny thing, oh yeah, then you did follow it up with that. Yeah, and part of the problem is, when the hell am I going to see the doctor? And when he does, and he's on his, Dad does go to an adult daycare thing twice a week, but the best I can ever get is 2 hours before he really starts to cause problems in there. And he's had enough problems in there that I think he's kind of on the edge of getting kicked out. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm really trying to prolong that. I really hope he doesn't get kicked out. And indeed, I was mentioning for him, melatonin, I've started to have to give it like a half of one during the day just to try and mellow him a little. And it's been weird giving melatonin in tandem with an antipsychotic. To me, that seems like a bad idea, but it seems to work. One takes the edge off the other. When I say work, you have to keep it in relative terms. Let's see here. 4. Do I have MeTV Tunes in my area? No, they have not picked it up here, or if they have, I'm not privy to it. It's certainly not on the cable system around here. I have seen their thing in the mornings, though, that Tune In With Me, Toonie the Tuna. I have seen that on the regular MeTV. But I'm by the same token, I'm not a huge cartoon person. I got nothing against it. I certainly have my favorites of the old cartoons. I used to love... Strange as it sounds, I loved Droopy growing up. I really loved, especially the original Tex Avery, really wacky Droopy cartoons. But, yeah, Bugs Bunny, I loved Bugs Bunny, but I wouldn't say I'm an aficionado. Let's see here. Jennifer Lewis, Super Chat, thank you. Braveheart Ben, thanks. And... the number of likes on it, the thumbs up on it, is just going psycho on my screen. It's like it's 3, now it's 6, now it's 8, now it's 0. I'm not joking. I'm trying to read this in real time. Yeah, it is spazzing big time. All right. Well, I think I may have come down to Oh, no, I haven't. It was just my computer being a spaz again. I thought I'd come down to the end of the list here. The real exciting part of this. I'm noticing some mentions of Friendly. I'm seriously considering. I'm in a weird position with TV. I don't like having cable, but Archive HQ sits so damn low, I can't pick anything up. So I still have at least basic cable so I can watch local TV and MeTV so I can, if I'm lucky, see Sven Gulli on Saturday night. At least I had the presence of mind to record it a couple weeks ago. They were going to have the Sven Squad do Blair Witch Project, and presumably their parody of In Tandem with it. I never cared much for Blair Witch Project in its day, but it sounded like a good proposition. They were kind of plugging it online and stuff. But yeah, I am actually really seriously considering, as more and more local channels are getting picked up by these streaming services, or you can get it on Roku or whatever, that I'm thinking of dropping it, but only time will tell. Plus, I'm not too thrilled with Mid-Continent, Midco, aka Comcast, and their internet service. Let's see here. Let's see. This is more of a comment. Ben, classical gas emissions. Worst thing I've ever tried to repair was an original Teddy Ruxpin. You need mad sewing skills and a periscope to change the belts in his head. It's the only thing I ever gave up on fixing. Okay, I had a Teddy Ruxpin when I was little, but that sucker is long gone. Commodore Fan 64, another super chat. Thank you. What's my all-time favorite video format? It's like home video format as opposed to like a file format. I'll assume that means physical media format. I love Laserdiscs. I like the quality, even though it's kind of the midway point between VHS and DVD. I just have a kind of a thing for Laserdiscs. On the recording front, I like Beta. It's weird. Normally, I'm one of those weirdos that Betamax and VHS, as far as the pre-recorded stuff, to me is just about interchangeable. But as far as recordings, off-air recordings, give me a Beta tape anytime. I'm very sure Benny remembers the original Mr. Ruxpin. I sure do. It scared me a bit at first, and I think that could be said for a lot. I keep seeing the same question from Winter Robinson. I've already answered that one about not getting due to legal issues. I'm hoping that's just a lag thing. Let's see here. Frazzleface, I think they called ADHD hyperactivity back in the day. My little running joke with that is it was just unruly child. And you do, with this whole dementia business, you do have to, dare I say, have kind of a gallows humor about it. Let's see here. Another general comment, Brian Noblock. I was classified neurologically impaired in 1991 before the autism spectrum was recognized as a spectrum. Yeah, it's kind of strange, all this stuff we talk about so freely these days, and it seems like it's been around forever, how really relatively recent a lot of it is. Super chat from Vicky Martini. Just wanted to drop by and say hello, take care all. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, I must be way back. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff about ADHD. Let's see. Maybe you should do a Ben's Junk on a TCI cable box similar to the one you remembered. Those cable boxes were pretty similar back in the 80s and 90s. I think most cable systems used the same, like the Gerald brand. I think a lot of them were pretty similar. Now, on that note, just me going off on a bit of a tangent here. A viewer not too long ago, or maybe it was a while ago, found one of those homebrew on-TV boxes. So, I'm at my normal set and I've got my on-TV box behind me. That is, people were making their own at the time, because it's really just a notch filter. And I have it, but I don't know enough about electronics to really decode it. So I need to send that off to somebody who can sort out what exactly was going on in the circuitry with that one. So that's one that's been on ice for a while, and actually it's just sitting, excuse me, just out of the shot. Ben again, I've decided to just dye my mother's rug brown when she moves out. Chocolate pudding aplenty. Yeah, I think there might be new carpeting involved if it's affordable. Unfortunately, as good as I've gotten with the Rug Doctor, you never really do get all of it out. Real appetizing stuff we're talking about here. Let's see, do I have an all-time favorite thrifting find? Electric retro flowers. I've discussed this before. Ages ago, back in Colorado, I found a tuner timer unit for a U-matic deck, and it's actually on my other rack out of the shot there. So that would certainly have to rank pretty high on there. But that was long before I started making thrifting videos. But I've had good ones. I found like rare records, and I have found... a few years ago, I did the Ben's Junk video on the scanner, the 8mm film scanner. I paid $10 for that. Those things at the time went for like $300 or $400. So yeah, I've got some favorites. I don't know if I've had any real big ones like that though on archive thrifting. I found some of the Nightmare games though, the VHS games, in one episode. And computer is spazzing again. What about the rise and fall of the WB100 Plus stations group for the smaller ranked? Yeah, I know nothing about that. Yeah, some of this stuff is more for people who are really broadcasting geeks. MeTV already has Loretta Swit memorial bumps up. Yeah, I heard that this afternoon that she passed away. Let's see here. Pox TV Network. Do I ever think I will do a video on foreign analog TV shutdowns? I think I did that. Oh, final shutdowns. I see what you mean. Yeah, that's something to think about. I don't know. That's kind of a new one. Not even looking at the camera. I'm just looking at my computer. Let's see here. Hey Benny, have you ever met some news anchors or any news people who work at big network TV stations? No, actually, I think I met the movie critic at one of the TV stations back in Denver when I lived there briefly, but that's the only one I can think of. I've seen like, the news anchor in a restaurant before, that sort of thing, but never known him personally. Let's see here, Daft Optimist. Personalized kitty audio tapes. There was a big trend when I was a kid. Yeah, I've kind of done that. The birthday episode, I did Benny's Birthday Bash, where I did what was that? I hate that I'm forgetting the name, because I've got a terrible story with that one. Hey, so-and-so, it's your birthday, that sort of thing. And I found he was still making them, and I had one made, but it didn't come in time for the episode. And I sent, a thing through his website, and I got a phone call from him, but I didn't recognize the number, so I let it go to voicemail. And there was this very sad-sounding voice on the other end, this very, very elderly, broken-down voice. And it was Captain Zoom. That's the name. And I have just never had the guts to delete it from my phone. This was 5 years ago now, something like that. So, me going off on a tangent again. But a whole episode on that, I've never found enough to make an episode. But it's happened before. Or one of the Christmas episodes where it was a visit with Santa Claus, and it was for Amber, and it would awkwardly cut to a zoomed-in shot of Santa Claus. So you're at a long shot or a medium shot. Merry Christmas to you, tighter shot. Amber, cut back to a wider shot. And I actually gave that to the Found Footage Fest guys at some point, and they have used it. Nick S., this should have read, are you familiar with subcarrier radio, specifically radio programming for the blind? I've heard of it, but I know nothing about it. The Projectionist, I have some EIAJ material, no means for playback, however. Yeah, I can only do black and white right now. That's the only fully working one I have, in a Sony AV3600. And I've got 2 boxes full of presumptive EIAJ tapes that I need to clean and bake and stuff. I don't know when that's going to happen. In fact, one of them is one of the things in my pile of crap outside of the shot. Let's see. I don't know if I really understand this. What's my favorite model of my favorite media format player? So if I'm saying Laserdisc, I'd say the later period higher end Pioneer ones, so the D605, D704. I've got a D605 right at the bottom of the rack down there, which is also my daily driver. And that's one of the ones that has an AC3 output and an AC3 demodulator outboard into that for early Dolby Digital sound and DTS sound before that was really a thing, for the average person. Let's see here. Okay, Ben, another comment about the personalized kitty tapes. Brian Hebert, Techmode has a video about HD VMD. I just can't think of that one. I know he did a VHD from the 80s at some point, but that's certainly not high def. Max Muir, somebody needs to send Ben a working Seeburg 1000 system and 2,000 hours worth of 16 RPM records for it, and nowhere to keep them. Of course, Techmode has done Seeburg, and I don't think I could ever top Matt's video on that, Techmode's video on that. And speaking of Matt, I'm not entirely privy to what his health problems were lately, but one of the real low points that I was going through a few weeks ago, he had put out a new video, and he did his host segment, and he looked so gaunt that I had to turn the video off. I just couldn't handle it. And I've seen his most recent one from this past weekend, and he looked and sounded much better, but boy, that just hit me the wrong way a few weeks ago. I simply could not focus on the material. Let's see. What's my favorite band or album? My favorite album of all time, we mentioned Pink Floyd. My favorite album of all time, cliche as it is, would be Dark Side of the Moon. I did a 2-part thing on top 10 favorite albums and some honorable mentions. That was a long time ago. That was probably closer to 10 years ago. But if you dig through the channel, it's Ben's 10 favorite albums, something to that effect. Let's see here. What about an episode local 45 RPM releases? So I assume you mean just kind of private press stuff. I've got a fair amount of it, but I don't really consider it a topic. To me, it would belong to something like Vinyl Potpourri, and I don't know if I'm ever going to do another Vinyl Potpourri, not because I don't like them, but because they are they just do so poorly. The ones I've done have just fared so poorly numbers-wise, and they're a lot of work to make that it just never seems worth it. I'm hoping if anything good comes out of me not making archive for a while, proper episodes, is that it gets people to go back and watch some of those more deep cut episodes, because some of those can be some of my favorites, but I understand people are going to go for what they have heard of, the familiar stuff, and I get it, but it is frustrating. Jesse Coffey, have I considered doing an episode on line 21 closed captioning? I can't say I know this specificity, new word, of line 21. I assume you mean in the vertical blanking interval? Okay, so clarifying there. Local 45s like garage bands and stuff. Yeah, like I said, it would be more of a part of like Vinyl Potpourri, but I don't know about that. The closest for local I would think of would be an eventual another local flavor episode. And I do have a lot of regional stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm in South Dakota, but I'm 8 miles from the Iowa border and like 12 miles from the Minnesota border. So there's a whole lot of overlap. So that's kind of an eventually, maybe another local flavor. But again, those are a lot of work. I need the time to actually work at. If I could remake one of the earlier archive episodes, which one? I could think of ones I would probably just not do at all. But I suppose the obvious one would be Max Headroom. And I even had a redo already of sorts of that one. By the same token, Max Headroom is so cliche at this point. I just don't really wish to revisit it. And I still get some of the same old comments after all these years. I am the Max Headroom hijacker, whatever other crap. Liam Piper, if I could remake... Oh, I already read that one. Sorry. Pox TV Network, do I use DoorDash? No, because I cannot justify like a $10 meal with a $13 delivery fee and whatever else, and then a tip and all that. Let's see here. Let's see, another super chat. Thank you, Grayman Media. How about doing an archive on the Abacus A64? I have no idea what that is. Let's see here. Gino, are there any songs I heard once and never wished to listen to again because it disturbed you greatly? I can no longer listen to Martika's Toy Soldiers due to my father's death. I can't think of any, but I don't understand necessarily how that Martika song would relate back to your father. I always interpreted that song as being about either alcoholism or drug addiction. Okay, well, maybe I do see the connection now that I think about it. Knowing you personally, that is. Let's see here. If Ben uses DoorDash, it'd be an excellent idea to send him gift cards. I'm sure that he and his family would appreciate the food and grocery delivery to ease the burden. I don't know. It gets, as strange as it sounds, it gets Dad out of the house for me to haul him along to the grocery store and stuff, or through the drive-thru. I refuse to take him out to eat unless Mom is around, because he is such a mess. He is such a bear cat to handle. You need the safety in numbers for that. And even then, if I had my way, I would not take him out to eat at all. But I'm going off track again. Let's see here. Somebody mentioning CBS EVR. Yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking of, that a recorder using film, but you could record off air with it. And there is a video on it. Databits, I believe, has a video on it. Let's see here. Snowy Sauce, have I heard of The Last Dinner Party? They're a new British band, but their sound is very much 70s, 80s-ish, the vein of ABBA or Kate Bush. To me, ABBA and Kate Bush are pretty different flavors, but bottom line, no, I've not heard of that outfit. Let's see here. Do I ever think I will ever make a video on defunct retailers like Ames? No, and I mean, Ames has been on archive before, way back in the first season, the employee training videos episode. One of those is Ames, an Ames training video. Yeah, I don't really see myself doing retail stuff. I do try and keep one foot firmly in audio-visual. That really is what archive is supposed to be about. And now, of course, sometimes that means strictly audio or strictly video and all points in between, or being in-house, broadcasty, whatever. But I always do try and keep that one foot in AV stuff in some way, shape, or form. Let's see, old radios. XM and Sirius radio shaped my tastes as a teenager, and I used to listen to Alt Nation and Faction a lot. And that's another thing I'm considering dropping. I do have XM, but I swear I hear the same handful of songs over and over and over and over again. And even the deeper stuff, I tend to be, if it's just me, deep tracks is usually where I go. Even then, I feel like it's either the really bottom of the barrel cuts from classic rock artists, or they're trying to squeeze in their the DJ's friend's band or something. Let's see here. I've developed a twitching eye. Sorry, it's making it hard to read right now. Which could be anything. I've looked up what it is, and it's like, well, that doesn't help me a whole lot. Okay, another super chat, Grayman Media, thank you. How about doing an archive on Jam Creative Productions? So the Jingle House, presumably. I don't know. I don't know if that's really my department. That might be more of a radio person thing, but who knows? I've done cheap radio thrills. Let's see here. None of your business. Too bad you never met that leopard print lady from SCTV. You would have made a good couple. So Edith Prickly, one of Andrea Martin's characters. I don't think that would work. Funny, when you mention Edith Prickly, when I see Edith Prickly, I think of an acquaintance, an author acquaintance, a silent film historian. She wrote, her big thing is Harold Lloyd. She is the most diehard Harold Lloyd fan, but she is like the real life Edith Prickly. So when I see that Andrea Martin character, even though she doesn't do the leopard print stuff, she sounds like that character and everything. So I have that going in my head. Let's see here. Try and get past some of the general comments. I'm seeing some stuff. I must be way behind. I'm seeing stuff about Droopy. I am trying to catch up here. The computer is having one of those magic moments where the computer is spazzing on me. So maybe I'll just kind of head back. I recently got that Tomita album that has that version of Arabesque that used to play on the Stargazer Hustler segment, and now the damn thing goes. Okay, but yeah, uh-oh. Now I know what happened. YouTube had a brain fart. Okay, well, we'll see how much we lost. Now let's see if I can get back to where I was reading here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Wade's telling me TV Tunes is in my market, but yeah, lovely old Midco doesn't carry it, and I know I can't pick it up with. I do own an antenna, but it's just a regular pair of rabbit ears, and I can hardly ever pick up anything. I'm lucky to get the big station is Kelo, Kelo, and I mean that place. Their transmitter is like 15 minutes from me, if that, and I still can barely pick the damn thing up on an antenna. Let's see here. Jason Hammond, is there a way to send you donations that doesn't get a big chunk taken off the top by some corporation? Yeah, PayPal. Just check if you want to send a chat or whatever, or just anything. Email me at oddityarchive@gmail.com and I will send you a real PayPal address. So if you want to, I mean, this wasn't really intended to be any kind of oh, please give me money sort of thing. This was more just one, so I would have something to show for this week, but also just to chat, because I don't want to leave everybody in the dark. Let's see here. How long will the Oddity Archive last in the near future? I don't understand that one. It all hinges on what happens with Dad. I could start making full episodes again in a month if all this starts falling into place. I hate saying that. Like in the next week, but. Yeah, like I said, I would just kind of expect Archive to be on a hiatus from full episodes for a while. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll just find the time to make a normal episode, but it's just not really happening. Okay, and once again, my thing is spazzing out on me. Wonderful. The joys of a live stream. I'm checking to make sure things are actually working. Let's see here. Okay, now it's working again. Getting through some of the general comments. Kyle J. McElravy again. Do I know about the Graham Kennedy show? No idea what that is. Let's see here. Wade's telling me I may have to get a preamp for my indoor TV antenna, which may help my signal situation. Walmart has a good on-brand amplifier for only $12. I do own an amplifier. I used to use it in Colorado when I was doing some of the first micro broadcasting things, because there was just so much stuff around just to cut through the noise, so to speak. I had to bump it up. I don't have to do that here for my own stuff, but yeah, I've got an old signal booster thingy, but yeah. All right. I lost MeTV, and it was basically the only channel I still watched. Yeah, and we lost Antenna TV, at least on the cable system here, and that sucks. I used to really like Antenna TV. Me and MeTV, it's mostly for Svengoolie. Let's see here. Wade, as for internet, go for Blue Peak if you can. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at that. My parents' yard was one of the yards that Blue Peak dug up when they were laying down that fiber optic cable. They were not happy, understandably. Let's see here. Again, I'm trying to get through just some of the general comments here. Pox TV Network, do I think I'll ever do a video on vintage microphones? No, because it would mean I'd have to collect some. You'd be shocked at how few microphones I actually own. And the most vintage one I own, I'm not joking, on a regular archive episode over the last 5 years or so, I went back to using my Rode NT1. And so it's the tall standing one. And that is my oldest. That is from 1994. I don't know if we'd call that quite vintage yet, but it is an early Rode microphone. And I had to contact Rode with the serial number on it because I couldn't figure out when it was from. I bought it used when I was in college. Let's see here. We got somebody saying hello from England. If you're still here, good evening. Very late night. Geez, what, London is 6 hours ahead of me, something like that. 3:30 in the morning in London right now, something like that. Let's see here. Record Hound, gallows humor gets you through the dark stuff, especially when you're experiencing it. Yeah, and that's just what I've been going through. I already had kind of a gallows sense of humor in general, dark humor, but it's kind of picked up lately. It just, again, it's not intentional. It's just like, it's coping. Oh, this is amusing. Mike, my friend Mike Oman. My dad hung on to the same Scientific Atlantic cable box for years because if you pressed a particular sequence of buttons at once, you could get free HBO and Showtime. I've heard of stuff like that. I've heard of people being able to pick up HBO just on an antenna without a descrambler, like there was some sort of common frequency too. I think Weird Paul had something about that. My old friend Weird Paul Petrosky. Printo316, what is my favorite works of classical literature? Oh, probably the manual to the U-Matic, the VO2600. That's classical literature, right? If you're thinking of like Homer or some of that stuff, and I don't mean The Simpsons, I never really read that. I've read, and I had to read Shakespeare in school. I didn't care much for it. I was going to say, for a true classic, probably something like The Great Gatsby. Benny Boy, am I doing another Coke product placement? Unintentionally, I guess. Try and keep it out of the shot. Of course, it's been sitting there forever. Old radios. I got an original U-Matic VO1600 from 1972. I'm nervous to tackle. Yeah, I understand. Kyle, I have a Sony Betamax in case you need any help. I own several Betas. There's my 750 is right behind me. SLHF 750. And I've got two stacked ones over there. One I used to clean beta tapes, and another one that's just that simply does not work. I have an 840 in a box. I've got a which has a worn out head, so I can't really use it anymore for anything valuable. And I've got the industrial one I've done Ben's junks on some of these, like the industrial one, the SLO 325, which it is a fascinating machine. Let's see. Somebody has just written the media hoarder with a couple of fingers. Yeah. I've known Jesse for a very long time now. Let's see here. Again, digging through the comments. So we got a super chat here. Thank you. I'm trying to like it. It may or may not work. I can't even tell if my thing's working right now. Everything's kind of jammed up on the YouTube feed. But if you can hear me, thank you. I inherited my grandma's house and my mom moved years back so we could take care of stepdad. Best thing we did was pull up all the carpet for hard floors. Yeah. Of course, what if you're not really a big fan of those things? Okay. So don't tell me I'm going to have to end it here. I can tell I've still got a big backlog here. I am trying to, Commodore 64 fan, I am trying to like your super chat, but YouTube isn't letting me. I apologize. I have no idea what's going on. I'm hoping I can still be heard. Everything according to OBS Studio is still working. I'm just going to take it on faith here. Let's see here. Okay, now I'm up to Captain Zoom. And everything just kind of goes blank after that. That's horrible. Okay, well, I hadn't really planned on ending things here. I'm going to give a refresh. I'm hoping things actually work. Okay, did things come back for me? Okay, I think I'm back. I think some stuff got lost though. Let's hope that things are actually working now. Apologies for everything that is not working. If I missed your question, please let me know. Okay, I think I found my spot. Okay. Let's see here. Somebody's mentioning me having trouble with the Kello signal. If you get Kello, you should get KSFY. Both transmitters are near Rowena, yeah. And both are VHF, so yeah. Yeah, and Rowena is where our NOAA weather station is as well. Let's see here. Okay, another super chat from Commodore fan again. Make sure your antenna amp has a 5G filter as the UHF band bumps up to 5G cell signals fixed to my TV reception. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna ever go proper antenna. I'm kind of looking to going over more streaming. Strange as that sounds, after all that hiccup there. Let's see. I need to find the Sony Bob Barker match game mic. Yeah, the Gene Rayburn mic. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Does anyone here like Huey Lewis in the News? Yeah, sure. I have at least 2 of their albums that I can think of. I've got 3 of them. I've got the big ones. I've got Picture This and Sports and 4. Let's see here. Ben, have you ever heard of the band The Mumps? I have not. Dan Navarro, hey Ben, do you have plans for another laser karaoke episode? It's been a long time since the last one. Yeah, I had to discontinue them back in 19 because they were such a copyright problem. I'd go through all these hoops to at least get it viewable, maybe not monetizable or anything, that's a word now, but I'd get it cleared and then it would get blocked again or something would come down again and it just wasn't worth it. Let's see here. Max, send Ben a Neumann U87. Sure. Let's see here. Another super chat from Paul Nelson, thank you. Hey Ben, sent you extra on PayPal. Wish I had something profound or thought-provoking to say, but I just wanted to be supportive right now. Okay, well, bear in mind that oddityarchive@gmail.com does not exist. That is not a PayPal. That's just email me, and then I will give you a PayPal address if you're so inclined. Let's see. Brian Hebert, am I familiar with Bruce Hornsby's work with the Grateful Dead as a touring musician? Yeah, I know he worked with the Dead for a while, and boy, I got a Bruce Hornsby story for you, and it's not a flattering one. I worked at this particular venue back in Colorado for a long time, 5 or 6 years, and Hornsby came through, and we would have artists come through that were drunk every now and then, and he was one of them, but he was just off, man. I can only think of one artist worse, and every other word out of that man was an F-bomb. He hardly played any songs all night. He mostly just sat there cursing, hunched over his piano. That was an interesting one. Of course, the funny thing about Bruce Hornsby was, if you're of a certain age, there was kind of a joke way back when about if your parents wanted to be alone for a while, or they wanted to clear the kids out of the room, or they were having a party, they didn't want the kids getting involved, they would put on some Bruce Hornsby because it was just anathema to kids. We always heard it as boring adult music back then. I've come to appreciate him to some degree over the years, but yeah, I was certainly one of the kids that, you know, if I heard that piano riff to That's the Way It Is, I would just, ugh. I guess that means I'm an old fart knocker now. And of course I'm referencing Beavis and Butthead, so yeah, I am truly an old fart knocker. Yeah, I got the stream working, guys. I'm trying. I'm really, really trying here. Bear in mind, if you've seen me do these before, you know that YouTube likes to bounce around on me. I don't know why. It's always been like that. Again, I'm trying to just get through some of these general comments here. How far back in the chat am I? I have no idea. I'm utterly terrified at how far back I am. Some Huey Lewis references in here. Johnny Tong, still haven't thought about getting a super box. Somebody told me what that even was at some point, and I don't even remember. Kyle again, do I like Enya's music? Yeah, well enough. I own 2 Enya albums, and I actually have a Laserdisc, again, out of the shot on one of my IKEA shelves there. I've got a Laserdisc compilation of a few of her music videos. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a diehard or anything, but yeah, it's fine. I'm more in the Lorena McKennitt camp. Granted, those are 2 pretty different flavors. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not making fun of that Bruce Hornsby song The Way It Is, but I just thought it was kind of lame. Okay, I guess I have caught up to some degree here. So, go ahead and we'll make this last call here. If you got anything else for me that you want me to see here. Jesse bought that Enya Laserdisc twice by mistake. That's why I have a database now. Oh, if there were only hours in the day for it. I really should, for insurance purposes, have a database. But it's one of those things like, when the hell would I do it? All right. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wind it down here. You only need to send it once there, Jones. I'll read it. Hey, Ben, here's an idea. Perhaps please don't send it anymore. You and this YouTuber called Jonkasonic, who does a series called The Television Affair. You and him should do an OA episode about British cable TV. Again, as I mentioned earlier, collaborations are always compounds the work. As I said, it seems like it would share the workload, but it really doesn't. So I'm not really interested in doing any of those. Ben, NESC Retro. Ben, random question. Do you believe in ghosts or the paranormal? Any weird encounters? These days, no, not really. When I was a kid, yes, but that's because I watched way too much Unsolved Mysteries. Let's see here. Canadian Ben, Lorena McKenna is from my currently on fire province of Manitoba. Yeah, she's from, isn't she from Morden? Something like that? Anyway. Jesse, I have over 15,000 titles across all formats. Took me a few months to enter them all. I bet. I probably have that many albums, if you want to add up CDs and records and tapes and stuff. What do I think of the movie The Blues Brothers? It was a favorite of mine growing up, even if I was probably a little young to be watching it. But speaking of Blues Brothers, if you saw the last Disco Vision Dead Sides video, in that stack was a copy of The Blues Brothers, the first Laserdisc issue of that, which doesn't have a dead side on it. But I wound up pulling it aside just so I can eventually watch it, and I can see it right there. Yeah. Let's see here. John R. Ben, do you use a laser or inkjet printer for your box art? It is inkjet. And now I'm getting all the questions again. Let's see here. Happy Snout Hour. Have I thought about doing the history of foreign language TV in the U.S. in their quirks? The closest I've gotten is I was toying with the idea of Spanish language stuff. So the old SIN network and Telemundo became it, I guess, and so on. But really more for strictly comedic reasons. One of those intentionally running into a cultural wall sort of things, as opposed to a real discussion on it. Otherwise, for something, say, Spanish language TV here in the States, I think I'd rather see somebody a little more qualified on it. Indeed, I dropped a segment from one of the commercial episodes where I'm riffing commercials, where I was going to do all foreign language commercials just based on what I see in the commercial, because I don't speak the language, and again, the intentionally running into a cultural wall thing. But yeah, it just wasn't really working. Maybe it'll be worth another shot someday, but yeah. One more question, Ben. When is the next public domain theater live stream? That is indefinitely on hold. I can say that for certain. I'd kind of like to... I mentioned when I did the last public domain theater one, I really would rather use the time to work on stuff like Ben's Junks and have something proper to release, because as at times enjoyable the live streams can be, they don't get much mileage on the back end. They tend to just sink truly into obscurity, even by archive standards. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so we're popping again here. TKR Video Central. Hey Ben, let me know if you need a mod for your live streams sometime. You could have used one this evening. Yeah, it's never really come up before. That was kind of a new one, wasn't it? Yeah, I may have to make you or Gino one sometime. Let's see here. I don't know if I agree with this one. Adam from Iowa, Huey Lewis. He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but I think Huey has a far more bitter, cynical sense of humor. I'd say Elvis is still a lot nastier, though there is a definite cynicism running through Huey Lewis. I always get amused when people try and take that song, I'm So Happy to Be Stuck With You, as being serious. I'm pretty sure that was him being snide. But yeah, and strangely enough, I do like Elvis Costello a lot. I listen to more Elvis Costello than I do Huey Lewis. One of my favorite albums ever is My Aim Is True. And speaking of Huey Lewis in the News, that is Huey Lewis in the News minus Huey himself, at least partially backing him. Certainly John McPhee is in there before he joined the Doobie Brothers. I feel silly for saying this again, Pearly RKT, but I wanted to mention how excited I got about you bringing up Kello. We run all of the Kello associated stations at my job, and it's so cool that you may be watching. Maybe watching. I am known to have it on, but I tend to spend more time trying to corral Dad. I tried to watch the news a bit tonight, and that didn't happen. Let's see, Printo316. Ben, who is your favorite one-hit wonder? Well, I could go into technicalities on that, because Jimi Hendrix only had one hit single. Randy Newman only had one hit single. Rush only had one hit single. Frank Zappa only had one hit. Patti Smith. As far as like real proper one-hit wonders, I'm not really sure. The ones that I think of, I know had eventually at least a second top 40 single. But I can't think of any real true hardcore one-hit wonders. I almost said Brandy by Looking Glass, but they had a second hit eventually too. Let's see here. Jumping around again. Do I remember Shining Time Station? I guess so. I never watched it, but I've seen it like in the newspaper listings and been past it. But, you know, I never watched much of those kiddie shows growing up. I mean, I watched my share of cartoons and stuff, but I was kind of one of those weird kids that you were more likely... I would watch a rerun of, you know, an old sitcom, even as a little kid. Or once we got cable, the Weather Channel or something like that. But yeah, I didn't really watch, you know, like well, it was PBS Kids even a thing yet, you know, Sesame Street and all that. TYX, what's the oldest cassette I have come across? Well, V. Westlife holds the record on that one. He's got a whole slew of cassettes from the 60s. The oldest one in my collection is from '69, I believe, and I used to use it for stock music until it started becoming a copyright problem. Sid Dale, SYD Dale, but it's under a different name. It's a British thing, but it got rebadged for the US. But yeah, that's the oldest one I've got. The oldest that I can think of, you know, real major artist one I own would be Emmett Rhodes, self-titled, from 1970. But they go back farther than that. They go back to... The first ones would have been 65 or so. Let's see. Coffee or tea? Coffee. And I didn't used to be much of a coffee drinker until the last few years. What is my worst fear to happen to my collection? A fire, I suppose. Definitely appreciating the well wishes in here. Game shows and weather. Hey Ben, what's my favorite game show? Oh geez, I don't know. I used to love the Pyramid when I was a kid. $10,000, $25,000, $100,000 Pyramid. Over the years, it's strange, like with this whole dementia business, when I go to bed at night, I have the TV on for a bit, but I cannot stand watching anything too serious, and I can't handle a movie or, anything quite like that. So I've been finding myself putting on Buzzer lately, and it's either Match Game or Tattletales. And I had forgotten how much I liked Match Game, especially when it gets really chaotic, strange as that sounds for how things are going right now. But where everybody just loses control, and the poor contestants just have to sit there like deer in the headlights while everybody else is going bonkers. And Tattletales is all right on that same note, but that's just what I've seen lately. But yeah, I'm not sure about all-time favorite. I used to like Price is Right growing up too. All right, I'll Canadian Ben saying good night to me. Yeah, take care of yourself, man. I know you've been having some pretty serious problems lately. What is my favorite closing logo? Closing logo. The one that stands out to me, watching way too much damn TV growing up, would have been at the end of Barney Miller, the 4D, and it's a D note being hit 4 times and the letter D getting bigger and bigger. That's the one that stands out to me. Yeah, I'm seeing some people starting to say goodnight here, so I'll see what we can knock out here, and then we'll call it a night. This is going a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm really shocked that anybody was feeling all that chatty tonight. Somebody start playing the Jeopardy theme while I do this. Jesse, PBS is nothing like it used to be. Their kid shows used to be intelligent. Seems it's all cheap animation now. Back on the dementia thing, sometimes my mom will put it on PBS Kids to try and get Dad's attention, as bizarre as that sounds, just because that's about his mental level. I always hate saying that. And yeah, I agree. It feels really cheap. What is my favorite organ to have CT scanned? Ooh. It tingles when they do my brain. Do I have any other portable TVs other than the one from the micro broadcasting video? I own 2 of those handheld TVs, and the LED ones from the late 90s, or LCD rather. And I own 2 Sony Color Watchmen. One works just fine. The other one has a blown out speaker, which I can't find the part anywhere. I'd love to just open the thing up and replace the speaker, but if I want audio, at least I can run out the headphone jack with some passive speakers. I need to do a Ben's Drunk on the Color Watchman sometime, but I haven't been in a big hurry to otherwise, because it's been done at least twice now. V Westlife has done it, and Retrotech, Steve, the big CRT dude who worked on my PVM, sold me my PVM actually. Let's see here. NESC Retro. What do I think of Linda Ronstadt's version of Allison? Now, I like Linda Ronstadt. One of my favorite albums, and if you watch the 10 favorite albums of all time, one of my favorite albums of all time is Linda Ronstadt's Silk Purse, so predating that Costello cover. But yeah, I don't like that album, the Living in the USA album. I consider that one of her worst, and especially coming right after Simple Dreams, which was a great album. Okay, I'm mentioning some stuff about Sid Dale, so clearly some people have heard about it. I'm loving all the well wishes here. Thank you. As always, YouTube is making it tough for me to find things. Another Elvis Costello question. Is Shipbuilding recorded better by Elvis or by Robert Wyatt? I'm okay with either version. I suppose Costello's own version, if only because it was the one I heard first. Yeah, I think we're starting to come down to the end here. Old radios. Ben, do you know about the Mattel Optigan? Yeah, I sure do. And I have a record set of those Optigan discs, but I, of course, don't have the unit, and those things are rare and prone to failure. And somebody came up with a plug-in for that. I know Tom Waits owns one. Happy Snout Hour. Besides Shoji Tabuchi, who is my favorite Branson act I covered so far. Well, that's not exactly a deep well. As much as I went, I probably went too hard on the Bald Knobbers at first, but the second time I covered them for the one of those Christmas episodes, I wouldn't say I really warmed up to it, but I came to appreciate Stub and Droop a lot more. But yeah, the whole Branson thing is just weird. Actually, well, he's gone to bed now, I guess. But Canadian Ben and I were at one point discussing a trip to Branson. Of course, Shoji Tabuchi passed away just in the last year or two, so it seems like it would be truly a pointless exercise now. Sorry, YouTube's chat is being spazzy again. All right, well, I think I think I'm actually at the end. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and call it a night here. I'm astounded that everybody was so chatty tonight. But anyway, yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. Now, normally I would end with the sign-off film, but I have to temporarily stop using it because it's been getting copyright claims. And not from Skip, not from Skip Elsheimer, AV Geeks, but that Moog synthesizer version of the Star Spangled Banner. Some independent artist, self-releasing his own records artist, used it in part as a sample in one of his own tunes and put it into the YouTube Content ID system, and now YouTube, true to form, cannot discern the source of the sample and the sample itself in that song. So it's been another kind of stupid YouTube thing. So yeah, that one's unfortunately kind of on ice right now. But yeah, I guess I'll just go ahead and call it a night, and we'll just... I'll turn on the color bars for a few seconds, just so you can imagine that things are going off the air. So good night, everybody. I'll talk to you again, hopefully soon. Stay tuned to Facebook and Twitter and stuff for updates and all that good stuff.